An old fire flares up once again. The rising tension between Iran and Israel has reached alarming levels, shaking the Middle East and stirring global concern. Beneath the missile launches and propaganda lies a deeper geopolitical and theological rivalry between the Islamic Republic of Iran, the epicenter of Shia power, and Israel, a secular state closely allied with the West and many Sunni regimes in the region. But this conflict is not confined to those two nations. It triggers waves of distrust, reinforces sectarian narratives, and reopens wounds within the Muslim Ummah. Many Sunni Muslims view Iran not just as a nation, but as the symbol of a sect they deeply mistrust. On the other hand, many Shia Muslims feel constantly marginalized and discriminated against by the Sunni-majority Muslim world, often compelling them to seek regional alliances to safeguard their position. The war in Yemen is a critical front in this broader conflict, and is frequently described as a proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Yet it is far more complex than a mere sectarian showdown. It is a multidimensional conflict involving Yemen's internal fractures, a struggle for power, and a religious dimension that deepens the fault lines between Sunni and Shia. The Houthi movement, stemming from the Zaydi branch of Shia Islam, capitalized on the post-Arab Spring chaos and dissatisfaction with the central government to seize power. This prompted a Saudi intervention, driven by the fear of growing Iranian influence in the southern Arabian Peninsula. However, this conflict transcends sectarian labels. It is a tangled web of power struggles, foreign interference, historical grievances, and deeply rooted theological misunderstandings passed down through generations. To truly grasp its nature, we must dive into Islamic history, confront misinterpreted doctrines, and see people as individuals, not merely representatives of their sect. The division between Sunni and Shia did not fall from the sky. It emerged from a fundamental question after the Prophet Muhammad passed away. Who should lead the Muslim community? The group we now call Sunnis believed leadership should result from community consultation, shura, hence Abu Bakr was chosen as the first caliph. In contrast, those who became known as Shia believed that Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, had been divinely appointed by the Prophet as his successor. This was not merely an administrative disagreement, it struck at the heart of theology. Shia Muslims believe in the concept of IMAMAH, a divinely ordained spiritual and political leadership through Ali and his descendants. For Sunnis, there is no definitive textual evidence, naskati, specifying a successor, leaving the choice to the Ummah. This divide deepened through a series of bloody political events, from the Battle of Jamal to Siffin, culminating in the tragedy of Karbala, where the Prophet's grandson, Hussein ibn Ali, was martyred by a force claiming to represent Islam. His blood became a sacred symbol of grief in Shia memory, a testament to how political power can desecrate divine truth. Misconceptions about Shia Islam often stem from exaggerated simplifications and extreme accusations. That they worship Ali, believe the Quran has been altered, or curse all the Prophet's companions. Historical evidence and Shia primary texts thoroughly refute these claims. The majority of Shia scholars from the Twelver tradition, Ithna Ashariya, affirm that the Quran is the same as believed by Sunni Muslims. The claim that Shia have a different Quran is an old fabrication debunked by their own scholars. As for the alleged deification of Ali, while fringe extremist groups, Gulat, have made such claims, mainstream Shia Islam condemns and excommunicates them. Followers of Jafar al-Sadiq, a pivotal Shia figure, emphasize Tawhid, monotheism, and do not place Ali on the same level as the Prophet, let alone Allah. Another common accusation involves their stance on the Prophet's companions. While some Shia do criticize certain figures, particularly those seen as usurping Ali's rights, this must be understood in historical context, not as wholesale hatred of all the Sahaba. This brings us to the political dimension, particularly in Yemen. The Houthi-led government in northern Yemen adheres to Zaydi Islam, a Shia branch historically closer to Sunni jurisprudence. Yet, in modern political battles, religious identity is often wielded as a tool of legitimacy. When the Houthis took over Sana'a and deposed President Hadi, supported by Saudi Arabia, the event was framed as a Shia uprising against Sunnis. Conversely, Saudi Arabia presented its intervention as a defense of Sunni Muslims. Tragically, civilians have borne the brunt. In Houthi-controlled regions, reports have emerged of discrimination against Sunni communities, including expulsions, restricted worship practices, and surveillance of mosques. But this reflects authoritarian misuse of power more than sectarian theology. And violence is not one-sided. Shia mosques have been bombed by extremists who claim to act in the name of Sunni Islam. Extremism on both ends defiles the name of Islam. A tragic irony of today's Muslim world is how easily labels are assigned. A Muslim can be branded Shia simply for quoting Imam Ali or expressing love for the Prophet's family, Ahlul Bayt. Even classical Sunni scholars have been accused of heresy for honoring the Prophet's lineage. Yet historically, scholars like Imam Shafi'i, Imam Nawawi, and Imam al-Ghazali expressed deep love for the Ahlul Bayt without abandoning their Sunni identity. Imam Shafi'i once said, "If loving the Ahlul Bayt makes me Shia, then bear witness, O people, that I am Shia." Of course, this was not a doctrinal shift, but an emotional declaration. Today, however, such sentiments can invite suspicion or even accusations of apostasy. We have lost our tolerance for nuance and allowed the spirit of takfir, excommunication, to poison unity. The difference between imamah and khilafah represents two paradigms of Islamic authority. For Sunnis, authority arises from community consensus and social legitimacy. No divine appointment follows the Prophet. Shia Muslims, on the other hand, believe God appointed Ali and the succeeding imams as both spiritual and political guides. This divergence led to distinct theological traditions. Sunni Islam developed rational schools of theology like Ash'ari and Maturidi, while Shia Islam emphasized esoteric knowledge and the infallibility of imams. Yet both revolve around the same core of Tawhid, recite the same Shahada, and perform the same daily prayers. These differences should not justify declarations of disbelief, let alone acts of violence. Amid this divide, hope lies in the shared intellectual heritage of Islam. Shia scholars like Mullah Sadra, Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, and Ali Shariati contributed immensely to Islamic philosophy, social thought, and liberation movements. Likewise, Sunni scholars like Ibn Khaldun, al-Ghazali, and Muhammad Iqbal advanced civilization. Why can't we celebrate both? Intellectual openness should not be seen as a threat, but as a sign of spiritual maturity. Quoting a Shia scholar doesn't make one a Shia, just as reading Protestant theology doesn't make one Christian. A confident faith does not fear dialogue, it thrives in it. The ongoing divide is no longer just theological. It is fueled by political interests and inflammatory rhetoric. Muslims today need deeper understanding, tafaq, not shallow dogma, tasata. We don't need more preachers of hatred, but builders of bridges, scholars who promote unity without compromising principles, and thinkers who create dialogue without erasing doctrinal boundaries. There are countless shared values to celebrate: love for the Prophet, devotion to the Quran, ethical conduct, and the struggle for justice. There are universal causes to unite around: helping the poor, empowering women, resisting occupation, and defending Palestine. Instead of arguing over who is a heretic or whose imam is divinely guided, why not focus on providing clean water in Gaza, education in Sana'a, or justice for oppressed Muslims worldwide? The Sunni-Shia conflict is not purely an internal Muslim issue. Behind the religious rhetoric, external powers have long manipulated divisions to serve geopolitical ends. Since colonial times, Western powers have understood that a fragmented Muslim world is easier to dominate. Britain, for instance, played a major role in creating sectarian states and drawing artificial borders that sowed internal discord in Iraq and Lebanon. In modern times, US military interventions often exacerbated sectarian tensions. The 2003 invasion of Iraq unleashed a wave of sectarianism. The Shia-led government that emerged enraged many Sunnis, fueling extremist groups like ISIS that targeted Shia populations. Meanwhile, Western support for certain regional powers adds fuel to the fire. Saudi Arabia, a key US ally, receives arms and logistical support for its war in Yemen. Iran, on the other hand, faces economic and political isolation, driving it to adopt more aggressive postures through its axis of resistance. Western media also plays a role, frequently reducing these complex realities into simplistic Sunni versus Shia conflicts, masking deeper social and political grievances, and alienating global sympathy for civilian victims. So the question is, will we continue to play pawns in global geopolitics, or take ownership of our internal healing? Historical wounds left untreated will fester and become a bitter inheritance. But they can also birth empathy, if we are willing to learn from them. Today, Muslim youth worldwide are being fed the old narrative, that fellow Muslims are threats simply because they follow a different school of thought. Yet our real enemies are poverty, ignorance, occupation, and resource exploitation. The mark of a mature ummah is not unanimous agreement, but the ability to face differences with love and intellect. We don't need to erase Sunni or Shia identities. Just understand that each has its history, trauma, and struggle toward God. This generation has a golden opportunity to break the cycle of hatred and carry the torch of reconciliation. Social media, cross-cultural education, and intersectarian scholarly efforts can help rekindle a universal spirit of Islamic brotherhood. As Ali Shariati once said, our task is not to curse the darkness, but to light small candles. And perhaps that is what the Muslim world needs today. Candles that illuminate the path of dialogue, not torches that burn our brothers. Islam was not revealed to create caste systems of faith, nor to erect walls between the Prophet's lovers. It was sent as a mercy. As the Quran declares, "We have not sent you but as a mercy to all creation." Surah Al-Anbiya, 107. Shia and Sunni are not two religions. They are estranged siblings facing the same Qibla. The conflicts in Yemen, Iraq, Syria, and elsewhere are not merely political. They are mirrors reflecting an ummah that has lost its compass. We can disagree without hatred. We can argue without declaring others apostates. We can discuss without taking up arms. And we can love the Prophet's family without betraying our Sunni identity. Because ultimately, the question Allah will ask is not, were you Sunni or Shia? But what did you do for your fellow human being?